Imagine opening your eyes. No alarm clocks, no schedules. Your body woke up naturally because it's fully rested. You stretch and ask yourself just one question. What should I do today? For 99% of human history, this wasn't a dream. This was every single morning for 300,000 years, before we locked ourselves inside concrete boxers. Did you know that a modern human spends about 90,000 hours working? That's roughly 1/3 of your entire waking existence, dedicated to a job. We grind ourselves to the bone, for the sake of careers, ladders, and schedules. But our ancestors, they would think we are absolutely out of our minds. They had no concept of a boss, employment, wages, or a mortgage. So what did people actually do all day? Let's look at what we know for a scientific fact. In 1963, archaeologist Richard Lee conducted a study that completely shattered our understanding of prehistoric life. He tracked the daily routine of the hoansi people in Botswana, one of the few remaining groups living exactly like pre-agricultural humans. He found that adults spent only about 2.5 days per week acquiring food. That's just 17 hours. The rest of the time, they did whatever they wanted, and this pattern shows up everywhere. The Hadza in Tanzania, the Aché in Paraguay, the Martu in Australia. Completely different continents, same exact result. 15 to 20 hours a week for survival. For context, you probably work twice that much. The answer to how they lived will shock you. You might think, sure, but those are modern tribes. Ancient humans must have starved. Actually, no. And the undeniable truth comes directly from their bones. When scientists compared early agricultural populations to ancient hunter-gatherers, they were stunned. The first farmers were shorter. Their teeth were riddled with cavities from grain-heavy diets, and their spines were ruined by arthritis. They slaved away in fields and died young. But ancient hunters, taller, stronger, with healthy teeth and zero joint damage. They were athletic specimens. But the most mind-blowing evidence isn't their health, it's their hobbies. Why would people fighting for survival spend time creating high art? In the Chauvet Cave in France, explorers found 30,000-year-old paintings. Lions and rhinos, rendered with incredible perspective, shading, and dynamic movement. This wasn't crude graffiti. This required immense skill, planning, and most importantly, abundance of free time. Someone spent days deep inside a cave, working by firelight, not for food, but for beauty and meaning. In South Africa, they found 100,000-year shell beads with manually drilled holes. The nearest coast was 20 kilometers away. Someone walked a 40-kilometer round trip with stone tools just to make a necklace and look stylish. In Germany, researchers found a 40,000-year-old flute carved from a vulture bone with 5 perfectly spaced finger holes. Whoever crafted it understood pitch music and spent days tuning it, not for defense, but for pure joy. Across Europe, Africa, and Asia, ancient sites are packed with decorative objects, tools that were way more elaborate and beautiful than necessary for survival. This is what humans did when they weren't looking for food. They made their world beautiful. Let's reconstruct a typical day. You wake up at dawn. The campfire from last night is still smoldering. Someone adds wood, and the smell of roasting food fills the air. Breakfast isn't a rushed shot of coffee on your way to the subway. It's a social event. People talk, laugh, and plan loosely for the day. And here is the catch. If food from yesterday is left over, nobody leaves. Why would they? They stay in the camp, weaving baskets, sharpening spears, and softening animal hides. This isn't work in the modern sense. There is no clock, no supervisor. You do it because making things well is part of being human. But when a hunt does happen, forget about Hollywood action movies. No frantic screams. Humans are the most dangerous runners on the planet. We are persistent hunters. We track animals at a steady, rhythmic jog for hours under the blazing sun. Is the antelope faster? Yes, but it cannot sweat. Humans regulate body temperature on the run, while the animal literally overheats and collapses from heat stroke. A 3-hour steady pursuit, and the tribe is provided with food for days ahead. The animal is brought back. Everyone eats, and by early afternoon, the productive part of the day is over. What happens next is what modern corporate brains refuse to understand. Complete, glorious, doing nothing. People rest. They sit in the shade and talk. They play with children. They groom each other, picking through hair to reinforce emotional bonds. Anthropologist James Sussman documented that adults spent roughly 6 hours a day in social time, not working, not sleeping, just being with other people, investing in relationships, because your survival depended entirely on how much your tribe loved you. In a world with no money or police, friendship was the ultimate insurance policy. If people didn't like you, they wouldn't share food when you got sick. So investing in social bonds was more critical than any modern stock portfolio. And when the sun finally went down, a true miracle happened. Anthropologist Polly Weiss analyzed hundreds of hours of recorded tribal conversations. During the day, talk was purely practical: tracks, berries, and complaints about sharing. But at night, around the campfire, a massive 81% of conversations shifted entirely to storytelling. Myths about how the universe began, tales of ancestors doing the impossible, fan jokes that made everyone roar with laughter. Weisner argued that this night campfire is where human culture was actually born. Gods, spirits, the past, the future. Things you can only dream about when your stomach is full and you feel completely safe. And they didn't sleep the way we do now. Historical records and modern sleep studies confirm that before artificial lighting, humans slept in 2 phases. First sleep lasted for about 4 hours, followed by a calm, wakeful period of 2 hours in complete darkness, followed by a second sleep for another 4 hours. That wakeful midnight gap was meant for deep reflection, whispering, and intimacy. They weren't slaves to alarms. They were the absolute masters of their time, existing without needing to justify their existence through relentless productivity, pure freedom, pure leisure. But then, something changed everything. Imagine waking up at 2 a.m. today and thinking you have terrible insomnia. But Dr. Thomas Ware proved that before light, waking up at midnight was a beautiful, natural norm. Anthropologist Marshall officially coined this way of living as the original affluent society. Our ancestors lived a life of ultimate freedom, with zero pressure to prove their worth. But exactly 10,000 years ago, that paradise completely collapsed. Renowned historian Yuval Noah Harari famously called the agricultural revolution history's biggest fraud. Think about it deeply. Humans didn't domesticate wheat. Wheat domesticated us. This simple wild grass forced humans to permanently bend their backs, carry water, clear fields, and guard it. More grain meant more food, but it also triggered a massive population explosion. More babies meant you suddenly needed even more fields to keep them from starving. Within just a couple of generations, the trap was firmly shut. There was absolutely no turning back. There were simply too many mouths to ever go back to surviving by hunting and gathering. You were permanently locked into the machine. And farming demanded an insane, repetitive, brutal amount of extra human labor. Plowing, planting, weeding, harvesting, and storing crops. Day after day, hour after hour, working non-stop under the scorching sun. For the first time, human freedom was completely traded away for endless toil. And this isn't a theory. The physical, skeletal evidence is completely unambiguous. Anthropologists Mark Cohen and George Armalagos conducted a massive global study of ancient bones. Their scientific verdict: early farmers worked way harder, ate a much worse diet, and died significantly younger because of poor nutrition and hard labor. The average human height dropped by nearly 10 centimeters. Yet, the population machine just kept on growing. Larger populations birthed specialists, toolmakers, potters, and weavers. But right behind them came soldiers, priests, tax collectors, and heavy administration. And finally, the ultimate invention of civilization arrived. The concept of a job, the revolutionary idea that your personal waking time no longer belongs to you. Instead, you trade your life away to a boss or a ruler just to secure basic survival resources. By the time we built great modern cities, the original free human lifestyle was entirely dead. It was fully replaced by strict schedules, obligations, and a never-ending rat race. Today, you spend a staggering 90,000 hours of your life working. Your ancestors spent a fraction of that. You spend your entire life chasing an illusion of greatness, achievements, and wealth by corporate standards. They woke up every single morning, already free, already enough, with absolutely nothing to prove to anyone. They didn't need to spend their life trying to become successful. They were already living the exact peaceful life that you are working your entire existence to retire into. We live so differently from how humans lived for 99% of our existence that we might as well be a different species. We traded true freedom for food security, leisure for population growth, time for productivity. So ask yourself, did we actually move forward, or did we just walk straight into a golden cage?